Hello?
My dad's attacking my family.
Your dad is attacking your family?
No, my dad.
And these were the chilling words of 12-year-old Daniel James Beaver as he begged for the police to save him from his two older brothers who were running rampant throughout his house, killing everybody inside. But less than a minute after the phone call began, Daniel could be heard screaming and begging for his life until the line went dead. Police arrived at the scene quickly and were greeted by a gruesome scene that had played out all across the house. Blood was found smattered around the porch, and a faint cry for help could be heard from inside. The plea came from 13-year-old Crystal Beaver, but everybody else in the house, except for 2-year-old Autumn, was dead.
One of these surviving Bever children, a 13-year-old girl, saying her brothers were fascinated by mass killings for at least a year.
Police heard commotion near the back door of the property and discovered perpetrators Robert and Michael Beaver covered in blood and smiling as if they were proud of what they had done. Robert was laughing and told police that killing more than one person had turned him into a god. Unfortunately, Robert's interrogation tape was never released to the public, but 15-year-old Michael's is fully available and gives us some insight into what drove these boys to commit such a brutal crime.
I was hoping maybe you could kind of just go back at the beginning when all this started and kind of tell me what happened.
A couple months ago, we started talking about rampage and stuff like that.
Okay.
I didn't take it seriously at first, but then he started buying like body armor and stuff.
Where did he buy body armor from?
eBay and Amazon.
Robert's room was found filled with weapons and body armor, including machetes, hunting knives, and daggers. Apparently, they'd been collecting all of this for months, but when their sister Crystal told their mother about it, she simply passed it off as normal, saying that boys will be boys, and there's nothing to worry about. She couldn't have been more wrong.
The guns. Where did he start buying guns from?
He bought them online. I think the website's like Bud's Gun Shop, and he bought two Glock 41 and a shotgun. I forget, it's like a Moss Boot, I think. Then he bought 250 shotgun rounds on eBay. And then I think he bought close to 1,000 rounds for the Glocks.
Wow, okay.
Where was he supposed to pick those?
The ammunition, it was being shipped to the house.
Knives and machetes were one thing, but guns and over 1,000 rounds of ammunition are a completely different matter. So once they'd ordered it to their house, they knew that their parents couldn't be home when it arrived. But what did they even need all of these weapons for? It doesn't take 1,000 bullets to kill 5 people. Well, it turns out that the brothers had a much, much bigger plan.
Tell me more about making plans and what you guys talked about.
Making plans, we all plotted every night.
Why did he want to do it?
Because he just, he says he hates everyone. He thinks society is pointless. And so he wanted to, beat, the amount of other famous people like Columbine and James Egan.
So did you guys have a goal? Did you have a number?
He just wanted, I think he wanted to kill 50.
Okay.
I have a goal.
The two boys stayed up late most nights talking and scheming, and once they realized they were both separately interested in murder, the die was cast. And from their perspective, there was no turning back. The boys had grown a bond throughout their lives due to their living conditions. Their parents, April and David Beaver, were somewhat abusive to their children. They were homeschooled and even told not to interact with children outside of their own family. This left them alone with their own thoughts a lot of the time, and their only perspective of the outside world was the one that they formed in their own minds. This is how they developed such a negative outlook on society and what drove them to form the next part of their plan.
You picked a date, you said.
Yeah, which was yesterday night. That was the date.
How did you pick the date?
It involved the number of packages and stuff would be out. Because all the ammunition, he didn't want them to see that. So we wanted to kill everyone at the house first.
Okay.
And then wait for all the packages to show up over the weekend. And then we'd take the Yukon and we'd have our state with the guns.
So, their plan was set. Michael even said their idea was to cut up and dismember the bodies of their family and hide them in bins while they camped out waiting for the guns to arrive. He even added the gruesome detail that they only left Autumn alive because they had planned to decapitate her with an axe a little while later, But of course, all of these ambitious plans fell at the first hurdle. So what was it that happened that night that caused everything to fall apart for the brothers? The murders began with Crystal, who had entered their room at 11:30 p.m. on the 22nd of July, 2015. To the sight of them gearing up with body armor and knives, Michael lured her over to his computer, and Robert slit her throat from behind.
And so she fell down and started screaming.
Yeah, Robert kept stabbing her. I kind of freaked out because, and then my mom came in and she started yelling, call the police, get Dad. And then he came over and started attacking her.
So he stabbed your mom with the same knife?
Yep, same.
And where did he stab her?
I think in the neck too.
At this point, Crystal had managed to get up and stumble out of the door in an effort to escape, but Michael quickly followed her and dragged her back inside.
Is she still alive?
Yeah, she was still screaming. And then that's about the time Dad came down. They got a little bit of a fight, but then eventually Robert got him down and
Did he cut his throat too?
The three eldest members of the family were now well and truly out of action. With their parents dead and Crystal's throat slit, bleeding out on the porch, they just left their four younger siblings, the people they thought would give them the least problems. This is also where we rejoin the story from earlier, and Daniel is on the phone with police hidden in his room.
we stayed on the phone with the police. I grabbed the phone, which is my phone, got my phone. And then I ran into the kitchen and I smashed the underground.
Which was your phone?
Yeah, it was my phone.
Now you don't have a cell phone anymore.
Shortly after, Daniel too was stabbed 21 times in the back, shoulder, and chest. The final two victims were hidden in locked rooms, but Michael managed to convince them that Robert was attacking him too. This lured them out, and the brothers finished their attack by once more stabbing 6-year-old Christopher and 5-year-old Victoria to death. Throughout this interview, though, Michael has been placing a huge amount of blame on Robert, even at points saying that he was just standing there, letting Robert do all the work, and that he was only part of this in the first place because he knew Robert was going to do this anyway, and he wanted to be on his good side.
I didn't want to kill anyone or hurt anyone. I couldn't do it, so I was going to let him, kill everyone.
Yeah, but you stabbed somebody in the neck.
I just kind of...
How do you feel about what you've done now?
I didn't like it.
I mean, how do you feel about your mother? You watched her get stabbed, you cut her throat yourself, and you watched her bleed all over the place and scream. How does that make you feel?
No, don't think about it.
Unfortunately, though, in his interview, Robert had absolutely no concerns telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth, eventually cluing the cops in that Michael may have had a larger part than he originally let on.
The guys that are interviewing Robert kind of gave me a quick version of what he's saying that you did, and you haven't told me everything, okay? So I know you're not being completely honest. I'm just one of hundreds of people that are gonna look at this thing. We got the state police coming in, and every single stab wound that you inflicted, we're gonna know about. Everybody's been stabbed, and you both had knives, and we know you both stabbed everybody. So you guys are kind of at the same level. Who's gonna be honest and make this right? And who's a liar? Okay, which one do you want to be?
I'm not gonna...
As is often the case, this simple rhetoric was all the cops needed to use to get Michael to open up and finally confess to being as big a part of the murders as Robert was. Michael admitted to slitting the throats of Crystal and his mother, as well as stabbing Christopher to death. And as usual, one confession led to another, and we gained even deeper insight into the minds of these twisted teens.
You only stabbed your family because they were in the way towards the bigger plan?
They were in the way and, higher count.
This higher count, I'm confused. Is this a game?
It's more like kind of become famous kind of game.
It now fully comes to light that the murders truly weren't personal to any extent, and that the entire reason for this slaughter and any that would follow was just for recognition and fame. This became even more obvious when searches of the home revealed rolling surveillance cameras and storage drives with all of their plans saved to them. Robert later revealed that they planned to make 2 videos, one to taunt the police with, and another to post online. The rest of Michael's interview footage consists of him writing a statement that unfortunately was never publicized. But whatever it was that he wrote must have been pretty messed up, as the detective watching over him couldn't even finish reading it and reacted like this. Of course, at trial, neither of the boys stood much of a chance, yet Michael attempted to plead not guilty on the grounds of insanity. However, it didn't go so well for either of them, and they were both given 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole. The surviving children, Crystal and Autumn, were adopted by the same couple. But the fact remains that this once large yet reclusive family now exists solely as a foul legend on the conscience of every person that lives in the erstwhile peaceful town of Broken Arrow.